At CBC, we have decided not to run the video on any of our platforms, be it TV, audio for the radio, or to run it online. And I say that because some media organizations have decided to run the video. So, to talk about this decision, which is a very precarious one, we've invited Francis Beulah onto the program and Alan Waterman. Alan, you are a former CBC journalist. Our viewers know you well. You're also an instructor at BCIT Journalism.
That's my role these days, yes.
And Francis, our viewers probably know you as a civic affairs writer with the Globe and Mail, but you also teach journalism at Langara and UBC.
That's right.
And so, Alan, maybe I'll start with you. You have the video in your hands. How do you begin to approach that question of whether or not to show it?
It's a question that's definitely been going through the newsrooms that we have at our school, and the students are asking about it, saying, we've got this, do we go with this? It's going in other media, so what do we do with it? And the first question you ask is it in the public interest? And even then, there's a sub-question. If it is in the public interest, how much do we show? How much do we allow on the air? In this case, we've got not only video, but audio to be concerned about. And so those are the questions that start the discussion from there.
And it is the fact that it is as graphic as it is that has held back a lot of media organizations. And Francis, I understand you haven't even watched the video?
No, I've, in recent years, I used to be more of an advocate for the public needs to see what's really going on, and I remember I argued forcefully in my own newsroom after some gang member was shot in Cole Harbour. We should, show the more revealing picture so people see what this ends up as. I feel that there's so much out there now, we're so assaulted all the time, that I actually won't watch any of this. I won't watch ISIS videos. I won't watch police officers shooting black people on the street. I won't watch things like this.
And so what are some of the considerations for you if you were to be in that position where you would have to decide whether or not to show the video to other people?
Well, I do think that if people really want to see it, there are lots of places they can see it. Like, there's no way to stop it. And what you have to look at when you are a broadcaster or wherever you're putting it up online or whatever is, what am I serving? Who am I serving by doing this? And so I have been in favor of publishing fairly graphic photographs from, say, Aleppo, or the young Turkish, or the young boy who was found on the beach in Turkey. But I think that we need to see those because we don't really know what it's like over there, and this makes you realize there's human beings involved, and this isn't some abstract, another bombing raid. But when it's something this close, where it's available on other platforms, do you in a public broadcaster or another broadcaster have to put this out for people, where sometimes people are watching the news and they don't know what's coming up next, and all of a sudden before they know it they're like, oh my God. So they didn't search it out. It's all of a sudden in front of them, and I think that's a different story. So
Alan, why is it then that different media organizations have come to such wildly different conclusions about how to treat this particular video? I mean, what is the compelling journalistic argument?
That's the driving question, and you have to wonder if the immediacy of media these days, where our next deadline is 2 minutes from now, whether there are not all the stop gaps are in there. People aren't questioning what's going on. They're simply saying, I've got to fill this time. I've got to get up on air, up online now. And you got to wonder if the journalism falls by the wayside there, or at least not so much the journalism, but at least somebody to ask the second question. Are we doing what's really relevant for the public good in this case? I would argue that perhaps it's not in this case.
And I wonder too if we all haven't been desensitized somewhat. I mean, there's been so much awful stuff out there that's available. I won't even go into movies and television, but I sometimes think we have been desensitized to this, and so someone looks at it and goes, oh, well, it's not any worse than the last thing I watched on TV or whatever, without thinking, this is someone's daughter. The relatives of this girl could be watching this.
And that's key. I mean, we've heard from the clip just before this of people who were there and being re-victimized simply by listening to the audio, even just the audio. Never mind if you pixelate the victim or make it as obscure as possible. Even hearing those screams is too much, perhaps, definitely too much for the family involved, for the people who were witnessing it. So you have to, again, consider what's the public interest in actually seeing and hearing this?
A cynic might wonder if this was simply an appeal to sensationalism. I mean, you talk about being desensitized and that perhaps this all just sort of washes over anyway. Do you think there is...
You hope that's not the case. You really hope that's not the case. But again, I got to wonder if it's the hurry up, get it out there now situation. We had a similar situation just a week or so ago with the aerial shots of a murder victim being fully exposed online. The broadcaster originally picked them up, refused to use them, but their online associate did use them. And so there's more and more of these situations coming up, and it's bothersome. I think it goes back even to, say, Robert Chikansky. When we would originally air Robert Chikansky's video of being tasered at YVR, eventually, when we figured out that this is moments before he died, people stopped running it at the moment the taser was fired. And so you at least remove yourself somewhat from there. But here we know someone is dying in this video. And so you have to wonder, what's the good?
We have 10 seconds left. I just want to ask each of you this one last question. Were you surprised that the video was played in such a widespread way as it was? Alan?
Shocked, but unfortunately not surprised.
Francis?
I was surprised. I thought that media outlets still were trying to hold the line and realize that they had a greater responsibility than Facebook.
Francis, Alan, very good to have you in studio.
Thanks.